Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, performed this afternoon by Peter Griffin and his dirt bike.
Hey, this is Ryan Villapoto, and you're listening to DMXS Radio.
Welcome back to DMXS Radio. Yes, we're still around among the other thousands of podcasts out there. One of the first out there, so we appreciate you guys hanging around for all these years. Thank our sponsors who make this possible. We don't beat your asses up with these sponsors. We don't run the ads and just make it so. We run them at the beginning of the show. Just make sure you know who's giving us some love. Racer X, MX Sports, W Wheels, OGO Concept 2, and of course the great folks at Dunlop. Check out all their specials and product info at Dry Dunlop. This is the only guy I can actually say as a guest that we're bringing him in to his own music. That's right. It's time for Daniel effing Blair. What's up, Daniel?
What's up? You still using that old song?
Shit, dude, Neverland is my jam. I can't get away from it. It's synonymous.
You guys have caused me a lot of problems with that, though, because due to the fact that I have a hard time staying organized. I mean, I'm actually pretty organized, but I can't keep it all together.
Yeah.
And people have been requesting for a long time, like, hey, put your first EP up on iTunes and Spotify. And I just have never done it. And we're talking 15 years ago. And people say, oh, I hear that song on DMXS. When is it going up? And I haven't had any plans of that. So I get harassed all the time over you guys using that song and it not being online available.
And
so,
Cry the Lion is our ending song too. But I will tell you this. I know you look back at that as an embarrassment, as we all do back in, as we were kids, but there's some good tunes on that album. I'm not kidding. I'm like straight up good music.
There's some, but just lyrically, man, there's a few things where I'm just like so embarrassed. Dude, it's just a different time, dude. I was like a young half emo, half punk, half metal, half confused rock guy. And my lyrics were confusing from commercial and emo. Like, dude, it's just embarrassing. So I'm glad you like it, but dude, you caused me problems.
I will take the hit on that all the time, just to run your shit. But you're the only Daniel in the sport, and you get to qualify after your 25 whatever years in the sport. You get a first name only reference in our sport. When anybody refers to Daniel, it's you. I mean, you're the one first name dude in our sport. I mean, not a lot of people get to do that. Ricky, I mean, who else?
Wow, I never thought of that, but there is no other ones, huh? Is there?
Dude, none. There are no other Daniels.
There was Danny's. Coming up, there was Danny Smith. I crossed paths with him a few times. Danny Smith.
Magoo Chandler.
Danny Magoo Chandler. Okay, and he's NorCal guy. So there's some Danny, but you're right on the actual hard IEL, like the government name.
Yes,
probably the only one.
If anybody ever says in any reference of an article or a podcast, whatever, Daniel said, everybody knows what that is. Your parents did an amazing job. I know your brother is pissed, but you straight up have killed it. I mean, you've got that one, the one name only reference. That's very cool.
My parents jacked my brother Vincent up. They had no idea Freeze was coming. They had no idea there was going to be this other Vince. So yeah, my brother got screwed.
They should have named him Adolf because it's the same.
Oh gosh! Oh come on!
Yeah.
Anyways, well, thanks for the randomest thing I've ever heard about myself, which I might be the only Daniel in the sport
ever,
and that's not true. There's other ones out there too, but wow.
Yeah.
That is a weird way to start the show.
You're the Madonna. You're the Madonna of motocross and supercross. Everybody knows you by name. What's your middle name?
Beyonce.
Yeah, what's your middle name? You won't tell us your middle name.
No, it's Martin.
Okay, so I think Daniel is a lot cooler than Martin because then then you go Marty, and then you've got Tripes, and I mean you would have ruined it from the beginning. Marty
Davalos.
Yes, I mean it's just
so you're saying if I would have went the Webb Cincerello route and just took the middle,
then it wouldn't have worked. This is the reason that you're famous.
That's hilarious. Hey, you want to hear a crazy thing real quickly? This is so off topic, but seeing as though this episode is already started spiral.
Yeah.
So Blair, and I've said this before. I know I've said this on a podcast before, but my great-great-grandpa actually legally changed our last name to his wife's maiden name of Blair back in like the early 1920s and 30s because our actual last name was Przina, which is Polish.
Okay.
And he was having a hard time. Yeah, he was having a hard time getting loans and stuff. It was like, some racial stuff back there. I guess Polish people weren't accepted back. I don't know the history, but anyways, he took his wife's maiden name. So Blair is not actually from the man's side down. Like I would actually be a Przina. So how about that?
Yeah, that would have been, I of course we all know you as this, but I mean, that to me is just another awesome, random ass, boring ass fact that your name.
I could be Marty Przina.
Dude, you would have to have an Italian restaurant if you had that. You have to have a restaurant if you had that name.
Well, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. And thanks, Great Grandpa, because, dude, this could have went really bad from the beginning. So, anyways, what's up? We want to talk about dirt bikes. I'm sure everyone listening is like, for real, you guys?
We'll get to that. We got lots to talk about. But I will say this, is that, you and I had some, we've known each other for a long time. We've had some, conversations when you're getting ready to leave the sport and when you stepped away. And I equate it to this. Some people peak in high school. We all know those dudes that, they were the coolest and they peaked in high school. But you left high school and you somehow became cooler, and I'm loving it. That's how I equate this. You're like the kid that was maybe not the coolest in high school and got bashed a little bit, but guess what? You're getting all the sweet revenge right now.
Dude, strong freshman year of college. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I had a strong freshman year.
Yes, you're coming out like, how did we not know this kid was cool? We should have let him sit at our table.
Oh, dude. Well, thank you. You know what's crazy is, as I walked away from the broadcasting side, I've obviously had to pivot into doing more individual type things, and I've been very, very, very lucky. I have a good relationship with Jeremy Malott at Red Bull.
Yep.
When he launched Carson Brown's new series, Eras, where he takes on different riders on different bikes, he said, hey, I want you to be the host. Like I'm provocative and I mess with the guys and I like to provoke the athlete. It's like one of my good traits I have. And he's like, it'd be good to have you there because you could really kind of get them to engage. So it was like a perfect landing spot for me. That thing has gone viral. I mean, Carson is such a phenom. And of course, Jeremy brings in the right guys to ride the right bikes to make it all make sense. So that mixed with, the YouTube show has been a big success this year to start, but it's really helped me create more of, I guess, an individual profile and just kind of be more myself. And with that has come a little bit looser reins on being able to speak freely and be provocative and be entertaining and playful. So I think that's probably what you're noticing, because I feel it too. I feel more of like an individual now and not like I'm part of something specific. I'm kind of covering it all. And I like that. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That is awesome. And Jeremy's one of my best friends in the whole world. And I don't think he gets enough credit as innovative as he is with the sport. All the way from straight rhythm all the way to what he is now. He doesn't touch anything unless it's cool. And he will immediately reject something that has been regurgitated. He wants nothing to do with anything 100%. That's not unoriginal. That's what I love about Red Bull and Jeremy for sure.
Oh, and he throws things at the wall nonstop. He's got, how about this idea? How about this idea? Yeah. It's like, he's an idea generator, and he also has a good pulse on what's cool and what's not cool. And he doesn't do things just to do them. And that's like, I know when I'm doing anything with him, it's like all out. Like it's over the top all out. And it's just, so that makes me secure when I'm looking for projects and looking for ways to stay connected to the sport and connected to the media side and the commentary side.
Yeah.
I know working with him, he's going to always put me in a great light because his ideas are cool and he does cool things. And then these Carson Brown videos come out and I'm like, God, it's like TV, highest level quality you could ever imagine. And of course it's dirt bikes. So it's just like, they're amazing productions, but I don't expect any less from him.
Hey, you've been on our show before and you were wearing a pajama bottoms and a golf shirt, like during the middle of the week. So what is your wardrobe now that you're in this transition in this part of your life? Like, have you gone more just that laid back during the week, or are you a completely different wardrobe?
The wardrobe changes based on what I'm doing all day. So I will tell you, this new chapter I'm in is way more difficult in some ways. Physically, when it comes to my time, it's way more demanding. Because, on the broadcast side of things, most of it is thinking, watching back, analyzing, talking with your friends, living in the industry. You're kind of constantly gathering the information, and you're talking with your buddies. Like you and I are talking right now, and I'm sure we're going to get into things. Like, that's how you prepare for the TV side, is to just live it. But for working with KTM and some of the things I do there, and then of course working at Next Level and the coaching side, plus the YouTube side, like my days are way fuller now as far as I have to be here and here and here at these times. And so it's difficult in that way, just to piece the whole thing together. But for me, I've landed in all these sweet spots of what I love. So I'm like in the middle of a bunch of passion projects all at the exact same time. So as tired as I am and stressed out as I am almost at all times, because it takes a lot to keep this together, I'm just loving it. Like, it's just, I go to bed every day so tired and so happy. Yeah. So that's where I'm at, but it's hard to pull off, but, it's been fun. It's a fun chapter I'm in.
When you left, I know you didn't want to leave the sport as the way, the TV stuff and all that stuff. And I know that you gave them a hard line. Hey, this is what I want. This is what I deserve. And then you held your line. And I will always respect you for that. But I thought, man, this could go two ways. It could be what you're doing now, which is on top of the world, or you could have been Ben Stiller at the end of Dodgeball, just sitting on the couch, getting fat, eating chicken wings and saying, fuck you, Chuck Norris. So, I mean,
oh my God.
So
that is a great, man, what a metaphor for how it could have gone. Thank God it didn't, bro.
You could have just said to go,
that would
fuck
be terrible.
you.
I'm just eating ice cream in my underwear on the couch.
Say, fuck you, Brayton.
Yeah, fuck you, JB. No, it didn't go that way. But I'll leave it like this. I'm not sure I'm done commentating forever. Like, I loved calling races. Okay. There was just some complications with the present makeup of how things are and how things happen to be at the moment, that it's complicated, but at the same time, it's very not complicated. So I do think that there's a chance I could come back someday and do it again, because I loved it, but it just wasn't right now. The puzzle pieces didn't fit at the moment. And so no, I'm not regretful. And if I ever was to come back, I think things would be dramatically better. But at the same time, I'm okay if I don't go back, because I've walked into a new pipeline of interest, and I love what I'm doing, and I love KTM, man. Like, working for them. Yeah. It's a different side of fulfilling. I'm on the other side of the fence, the racer side of the fence, and it's like so fun. So I don't know. The doors are. I leave every door open. That's just kind of how I do everything in life. So you never know, but I'd say not in the short run at all. Okay. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, but maybe someday. I loved it, dude. I loved calling races. So never know.
You were awesome at it. I know you worked on your craft and all that stuff, and that's all. We'll leave it there. But we got our start back with Verb West back in the early days, and we were always, our roots were in amateur racing. So I know that side of the sport to me is always more appealing. It's more genuine. It's more authentic.
Oh yeah.
But I will tell you this: your future races, that's a little pucker factor. I mean, you got a little of that last week.
Oh man. Honestly, it's been very floaty in the clouds for me. Like, Juju was so awesome last year. Then Casey Cochran wins the finale. Mark Finnis is on the podium. Yeah. Then this year, Cole Davies comes in, and man, what a gamble that was for us, just to take this kid that no one's ever heard of and see if it works. Well, it has. The kid's awesome. And yeah, and then Landon Gibson gets a second at St. Louis. Yeah. So there's all these really big highs. And then last week, it's like two of my boys were like, you know what? I want the podium, and I'm ready to play the game. And I had to sit there in the manager's tower and watch them go at it.
This is
And
cool.
that was tough. That was a tough walk back and some tough conversations with the boys. But man, I said it on Twitter, and I believe it, and I'm going to stick to it no matter what. Is I am trying to help prepare these kids to be wolves. This sport will chew you up and spit you out. We've seen so many of these young kids. The family spend $500,000. They get into the pros and they get chewed up and spit out. And I won't have that. I'd rather have my kids be more aggressive, more predator, more alpha, and have to restrain back than ever have to be pushed into being that way. So if I got two kids that want a podium, they're going to go into each other and get physical, whatever, I'm going to coach it and I'm going to teach it, but I will never tell them to not be that way. Ever.
Colleen Millsap said a long time ago that, these kids don't go to the conventional schools. They don't go to high school. And that's where pecking orders and how to handle bullies and all that stuff, occurs for most kids growing up. And that's where this is the track right now. Amateur racing is your high school lunchroom. This is where you set your pecking order. And it has to be that way because like you said, if you let up there, I guarantee you when a defending 250 champion that you're racing next year, you're gonna let up there. Your instinct is okay, but you know what? If you're going for the throat of your teammate that you have to share a rig with, that to me is something I look for in an amateur racer. If it's clean,
100%. Well, 100%. And there's a line. I would never be like, hey, the line can be crossed, and I'm cool with that. But there's a clear line. I think most of us can see it. So to me, as long as they play inside the boundaries of what's acceptable, then I want them to play hard. I mean, that's what I want them to do because next year, if they go into the pros and RJ Hampshire and Jordan Smith are in there and one of them comes up the insides and gives you some, I want you to go back and give it back because they need to know, don't do that to me. And they need to know that, hey, I'm a rookie, but next year when I'm a sophomore and I'm ready to win these things, you're going to remember me.
Absolutely.
So to me, especially with guys like RJ and Jordan and the way our sport works, where some of these 250 guys hang in there long. Mm-hmm. So they need to know right off the bat that these kids are strong and tough and mean. So why would I not allow them to learn it now on each other a little bit, as long as it's within inside the box and the rules, which to me, it was. So I loved it for both as far as learning that's how you play the game. Mm-hmm. And it's a learning experience. And that's what I'm trying to be there for these families and for these kids anyways, to help them be ready for the next level. And moments like that are teachable. So it was actually scary and awesome at the same time.
Well, good for you. I agree with everything that you tweeted on that. And I think these kids are lucky to have you there. Hey, going back to this, I've been in this a long time. I don't have time. I don't watch anything. I don't listen to anything during the week. I mean, I'm just, I've been in this sport long enough. And Sean Brennan says, hey, how come you're not in the press conference this year? I wanted to say, hey, because my boy Daniel Blair doesn't host them anymore. And we had a bunch of fun in them. But that was during COVID when he needed some help with the video stuff. But I will tell you this, every time I follow Twitter, I don't do much Instagram, but I follow every single time you drop something, I click on that immediately and watch all of your videos. I mean, the content, it's concise, it's short, it's full. It's almost like, just you don't have to spend a bunch of time to get full. And I love that about your video series, whether it's, your overreactions, the Daniel Blair show, just a little, you jump in with a topic. I love all this stuff.
I appreciate that. And we took a gamble. I've been working with producer Joe at the Main Event Moto at our podcast for 7 or 8 years now. Yeah. And we've always just been a podcast, and we have this incredible core fan base, and the way we do things, it's very, very home-based feeling as far as the way we communicate with that side of our fan base and whatever. But it's very private. The podcast has gone private. We're on Patreon now. It's a smaller audience. It's a more passionate audience of our fans. So I wanted to do something that was more back in the public, and we thought, okay, let's get on this YouTube game. But I'm looking at what everyone else is doing, and it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be Steve Mathis. Like, Steve is the king of Steve Mathis.
Sure.
And now you have James, and James is the king of long-form analysis. Like, when you listen to James, it's like, oh, my God, his brain and the things that he thinks up about the writing, I'm like, God, that's a different take. It's like a brain stretch as far as knowledge goes. So I didn't want to compete against that. And then as far as like the Insider and how they do their show and how Weege does his show. And I'm like, our sport has got so much cool coverage right now. Where is a gap? I wanted to find a gap. And my thought was shorter shows that are just kind of like fun little, like buckle up, go through the show and be done. It's an easy commitment. Just meat and potato content only, no fat, no stretching it. Just really hit the meat and potato content and then do it from a different angle where it's all kind of pre-written story form with kind of these layers in it and be creative. but just package it up into something very small to where it's not like anybody else and it could be its own thing.
And you can do it quick, and you're not bombarded with ads, and it doesn't take you 4 hours or 2 hours or 3 hours to get. I mean, it's, to me, in this world of instant gratification, it's basically that, instant gratification.
Yeah. And my thought is like, if there's a cool topic, we just want to hit the topic, get out, and that be it. And leave the long form structure for everybody else. And again, we have our own long form. We do our own long form show, and we love that show. But this was meant to be something unique and different. And it's interesting how we pull it off. You know, I sit in front of a gray wall. I send the files to my producer in California across the country. He takes those files and he edits all the B-roll and does all that side of the editing. And then the cool part is that I lay in bed. I wake up Wednesday morning and the show is live. And we have this cool agreement where he does not influence anything that I do on the content side. He gets the files that I send him, and he doesn't even inject an opinion. It's like, give me your file.
Okay.
And then he does the editing, and I don't have a say. It's just he takes it, does it. I wake up Wednesday morning, and it's like, oh, my God. Good show. Like, good edit. And I always email him like, dude, good job.
That's trust. That's trust right there.
It's a neat system.
Yeah,
it's a neat little system that we have that works exactly with what we're trying to do with that show.
So what is your process? I mean, I know you have you read a script, you have to write the script, you do notes. Is it all one take? Do you have to? I mean, what's the process?
Yeah. So it's cool. So obviously the race gets done, and through the race, I have my notes open in my phone, and I'm just thinking stuff, and I'm just writing down this about each guy, and it's just a mess of notes.
Bullet points, yeah.
Bullet points. And then I start crafting the show and how I want it to go, and, you know, I have all these different styles of things that I can do these little segments on, but there's always the lead story, whatever I think is kind of the big topic that is the most worthy of exploring. And then I start writing it into story form. And, you know, I used to be an amateur screenwriter. Me and producer Joe, of all people, we wrote 5 movie scripts together just as a fun project back in the day when I was hurt. And we did that for fun. So we kind of use this show as a way to explore those methods. And we try to do it in story form. We try to have an intro and an outro that tie the whole thing together. Like it's pretty creative, but I write it and I write it and I write it. And I just comb through, and it always starts really fat and thick. And then on the last morning that I go to trim, I wake up super early, 4:30 in the morning, make a coffee, put my headphones on. I put some music on just to get a good vibe and feel. And I just start cutting out the fat and just cut, trim.
Okay.
And I get the whole thing to about 1,700 to 1,900 words is probably my sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I send the files over to my little iPad that is on a teleprompter. And I have all these different segments, and I press play and I do it all in one shot.
You're amazing.
And then, and now my very first few episodes, it took a while. Like I had to learn a teleprompter, dude. It's weird. Like my eyes were following. I couldn't show character because I was reading. But now, dude, I've got it mastered to where I can play around with character and you can't tell my eyes are moving. And it's like, I wanted to master that. Yep. So, they're good now, and I can do the whole thing in one shot. I mean, the last few episodes, it's been my goal to press record, do them all in one shot, and send them. And
that's cool.
I haven't had to do a double take, I think, in 3 weeks now. So
that's amazing.
It's fun, dude. And I wanted to learn that. I wanted to learn how to do that instead of just going natural opinions with a lot of free roll thinking. I wanted to write and actually craft and script and perform. You know, like the big news people do. Like they all do that every single night. Absolutely. And I wanted to learn how to do that.
And it's kind of funny, not funny, but everybody gets to ride on the shit wagon, you know, criticism when you're in the booth or on the whatever. And you're the same people that are bitching about what you did on TV or what you're, on the track or Race Day Live or whatever. They're the same ones, giving you all these props now that you're the same person. But isn't it funny how the roles have reversed where now you're, like you mentioned before, a martyr or somehow something different. These were kind of the same things you were saying before, but you just kind of been maybe off the leash a little bit.
That's exactly it. I mean, there's really no change. I've been the same person. I mean, if anyone that's listened to Main Event Moto through the last 5 years, I haven't really changed at all, even through the process of leaving TV. I am the same person. And this is the same type of things that I was saying on Race Day Live and on Blair's Breakdown and on the broadcast. It's just more a little looser, a little freer. I don't have to see these riders every weekend, so I can be a little riskier with my takes. It has hurt me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I've had a couple top premier riders I don't think feel the same about me as they did maybe a year ago.
Okay.
whatever, that's fine. I'm being provocative and playful, like whatever. I'm not worried about that. But I would say it is a little bit of a freer, looser version of what I already was, but not a dramatic change. These are all the same opinions, just pushed a little more.
What I know that if you're in this sport long enough, you're going to say something that's going to piss somebody off. I mean, what about the Deegan reversal after the Fortner thing? I thought that was a little bit that stood out to me. Like you did a specific show about that was the wrong take. What led to that? Did Deegan approach you? Did you rethink it? Was it what was the process behind you thinking that I need to make up for this?
Okay, so that's a big misconception. And it looks like you didn't catch it either. So I've had a couple people hit me up and were like, hey, I'm glad you backtracked on Deegan. And I had a couple people say, I can't believe you backtracked on Deegan. But you go watch it back, I didn't. What I did was I actually made fun of the fact that the only take I thought I had wrong was that he was going to dominate the series.
Yeah, but you kind of
actually go.
No, you said that the mistake he made, that the reaction, like the thing on the podium was. I'll go back. I'm going to go back and rewatch that. So
yeah. So here's how I walked it through. Is I didn't like the way the Fortner situation happened with Deegan that night. I didn't like it, and I was upset about it from a fan's perspective because I believe the Deegans are going to play a huge role in the sport's success the next 10 years. I think they're going to be so important to this, and I didn't like the way Hayden acted that night. Straight up, I thought it was it was very insensitive to the fact that Austin is someone we all know has been through hell. He's currently plastered out on the concrete, and your victory came from the fact that he crashed. You didn't pass him and beat him, and to me, it was too triumphant of a celebration for the fact that someone that we all understand has had a bad go is just got laid out. Like, it was so poor timing. So I felt like I had to say something, and it wasn't to be mean. It was to hope that maybe there would be like an understanding, like, hey, you need to understand your role here and be brash and be you, because I like it. But dude, have a little awareness here and there. That was my point. So the next week, I forget what happened. He had a rough go. They tell him he crashed something. And so I started the show and I said, hey, I just want to say, take back what I said last week and kind of walk it back. But then we played the clip of what I was talking about, and it was actually later in the show when I said he was going to dominate and win the rest of the races. Yeah. And I said, that's what I'm taking back, that he's not going to do that, but I wasn't taking back my opinion on what he did on the podium. So I don't think I wrote that one, and it didn't come across what I meant.
But when you said you fist bumped Brian at the end of that made it seem like that the Deegans came to you and said, hey, we didn't like how you gave, Hayden shit. And then
No. He did though. He came and gave me a fist bump but no, we didn't talk about it, but we've DM'd since then. And no, it's all good. I really haven't had a problem there. I think Jet was more upset with me than anything. I think Jet's funny, okay? And I think that everything he does is kind of funny. Even the silly stuff, the bad stuff, like getting his goggles stolen and grabbing Jason Anderson by the helmet. To me, it's all comedy because Jet is a funny person and he's kind of delirious to some things. So I've had probably too much fun making fun of him. And I know I was a little annoyed by it because I said multiple times that he needed to be deported just for the series sake, just to make the racing better. Yeah. And he didn't like that comment very much. Yeah. So, and he's let me know that now twice. So I bummed him out a little bit, but otherwise, dude, it's been fun, and I'm just having fun. It's a playful show. It's YouTube,
and that's just it. If you tried to literally on all your notes, and then on the side and on your sub notes, you thought, okay, what can I say that not piss anybody off? Your show would suck. I mean, let's face it. You need to say what you want to say, and without reprisal of the riders, and that's the only way this is going to be successful because fans can sniff out some bullshit.
100%. And that's my ultimate goal is to have the fans like it. That's the ultimate goal, right? Mm-hmm. I want the fans to watch it and go, I like that show. And you have to be a little provocative and a little playful at times. And I think that the athletes in bigger sports with the Stephen A. Smith, the Skip Bayless, they get it 10 times harder than any of our guys get it. Way, way harder. So for me to be a little on the playful side, I think it's pretty mellow compared to the other sports out there, and it's fun. It's fun, and the fans react, and they argue about certain topics because they're passionate and they love it. And I love creating engagement and comments and debate and laughs, and at the core, it's entertainment, and I'm just trying to find all the different ways to be entertaining so that the fans go, man, I love this sport. It's a cool sport, and I'm glad that I'm in it every day. That's the ultimate goal.
Did you, in your wildest dreams, imagine that the goggle thing would have legs like it did? Other than the 2-2 Motorsports tablecloth getting stolen a long time ago, this has been like the biggest scandal in our sport in 20 years.
Oh, dude, it was so funny, too, because my buddy Dan Colvin, Toolman Dan, who's on my podcast, he was so livid over the goggle thing. And some people still are. Like, some people are still so mad. But to me, it was just so comedic. Like, Eli is a legend, right? He's an American icon, dude. And Daytona is his place. And here comes Jet, who's already he's already bumming us all out a little bit with how good he is. Like, we're all sitting here going, dude, this is going to be rough. And then he goes and takes it from Eli in just an amazing fashion. Yeah, Jet rode so good that night. And the fact that he goes to do his burnout, he wants to do his. And some fan rips goggles off of his helmet where he obviously could not let off. He's pinned. He's not going to let off and grab him and fight that. You know what I mean? To me, it was just so comedic. And the fact that the fans lost their mind, it became this big deal.
Yeah.
I saw it as an opportunity to do a couple things. Number one, let's make it right and not make this guy come across as he's really like some crazy thief, because honestly, dude, he did it on live TV and then he went on social media and was like, look what I got.
Yeah.
So he wasn't trying to be like, he was a terrible thief, terrible thief.
Yeah.
So my thought was, how can we make this funny? How can we make it playful? And then how can you end it with a good cause? And my thought was, well, let me get him back from the guy, make a fun little skit on the show, and then give him to Sean Brennan so they can go on the St. Jude auction and actually raise some money for kids and find a good place for the goggles that were such a big deal that night.
Yeah,
so
it worked.
It was fun to put together, man.
Let me ask you this. And would anybody ever take Mike LaRocco's goggles off his head?
Never. Never. And I will tell you this is terrible to say, but if they would have took it off of Eli's head,
he'd have dropped the bike and beat the shit out of him.
I would have been pissed. Like, dude, no, don't touch. But for some reason, Jet, to me, he just has to be able to take some of the punching bag stuff because he's so good at everything. Yeah. And everything is so 10 out of 10 with him that when things like that happen, it makes me laugh a little bit. Just him. I wouldn't be laughing at Hunter. It's just Chet. It's the kid with the donuts. It's the kid who called his brother a sister. It's the kid who put his hand in the alligator's mouth with Jason Anderson. It's like, he's funny to me because he does silly things and he kind of gets to float above it all. So to me, it's just, he's the right guy to take a shot at sometimes and play around with because he's Chet.
It was on point. I loved it. It was a great job wrapping up, and it helped us during the off week. So to me, it worked out perfect.
It was an off week story. It was definitely an off week story. It was not a during the week. There's plenty of good stuff to talk about during the week, but it was a great off week filler. So it was fun.
I know that we talk about this all the time, and we all bench race. Nashville coming up with the East West shootout, all that things. To me, it's like, as a season, we talked just a second ago about Cooper Webb not even being mentioned in Racer X's preview show because we didn't call this, and 4 races to go. We've got Cooper has clawed his way back to tying the points. I want to ask you this simple question: multiple 450 champion, he has 250 championships. He coming out of amateurs, he only had one offer for a ride. Why do we continue to underestimate this guy?
Because he does it the dirty way every single time. Look back on every championship he's had. It's always been a scrappy, dirty fight in the gutters. Think it's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's just who he is. He doesn't do it flashy, and you never go, oh my God, Cooper Webb. But he just strangles people all the time. And it's crazy because when he's done, and we do look back on his career and you match him up against everybody, he won't have the numbers where you're like, oh my God, he's not going to have those numbers. But you will never, I don't think you'll be able to find anyone else on the winning championship list other than maybe Osborne, because Zacho had to fight for his too.
Yep.
But nobody fought like Cooper Webb for his. He did, you know what I mean? He had to overcome more than others to get his. And I know I've said this before. I actually got pushback last time I said this, but I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
But it's harder for him physically. Like, he's smaller. I'm sorry, but Chase and Jet and Jason, I mean, these are 6 foot.
Adonis guys. Yeah.
Or lengthy guys. Cooper is shorter. He's stubbier. He rolls dad bod half the year. And this is a physical sport where it's harder for him to ride a 450 than they are, just in pure riding.
Yeah.
So him winning these races and doing what he's doing, to me, it's a big overcome. Every time he does it, he is overcoming a deficiency on the bike.
But then
everyone gives him a hard time about whoops. But dude, all right, go make Jet and Jason and Malcolm and Chase, go make them 5'7".
Yeah.
And see how they are in the whoops. You know what I mean? So for me, Cooper deserves more credit than anybody because he overcomes the fact that he has to ride a 450 with less physical traits that help.
Okay.
That's just a fact. And so that's why I respect him, and that's why, to me, he's the dirtiest dog out there because it's the hardest for him, and he overcomes. So to me, there's no mind, period.
But here's my point, though, is he's won 450 championships. The following year, he's not been... People don't think he's going to back it up. If he wins this year, the people next year are going to say, that was a fluke. Nobody's learned. And, I'm good friends with Coop, and I know you are too. We go back a long time. And I've long since forgotten or not, doubted this guy. I know what he's capable of, especially when he gets pissed and has some newspaper articles to bitch about on the wall. But if he wins this year, he's going to get the same shit next year. He's going to be like, oh, that was a fluke. Jet's going to kill him next year.
And if I'm him, I'm grateful for that because it seems to fuel him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like maybe he doesn't do well with the idea that he's a favorite or that this is his or that we should predict him. Like maybe, I don't know how his mind works. I know it's the gnarliest mind on the gate. There's nobody like him.
Yeah.
And he finds ways to be motivated. He's the only person on the planet that could have a 30-point lead and be flying in on private jets and still have a chip somehow. Like he would find a way to be mad about something.
Yeah.
But when he is doubted repeatedly and he hears about it, it does fuel him because he's like, dude, I keep winning these titles and you all keep doubting me. But it's funny you say it because if he wins this year and he's number one next year, he's not my pick. He's not. Like, I'm sorry. I'll always admire it at the end, but I can't go in predicting it because I feel like he has the hardest physical challenge of the other elite riders in the sport. He's not as big and long as they are in a sport where that helps, especially in the whoops and in some of the bigger obstacles. And that's why he should get more credit than anybody else because his mind has overcome what his body he wasn't given the physical traits. And he's had to earn championships through his mind when others, I think, have had help. That's a small guy saying that, though. I'm not going to sit here and act like this isn't short man talking over here. All right? I have pride for my little dudes.
I love it.
But he's small, and I love not big.
And I love how you call out that next year he wouldn't be your favorite. And you dropped a poll on X, and Webb won 2-1 over Jet of who you want to win the championship. I was very surprised with that.
I wonder if that's a moment poll because that's why I put that up. I wanted to know. I said, "Where is the temperature of the fans? Like, who do y'all want?" Well, you know what I mean? And I think Jet again has a passionate fan base and people that are just mesmerized by his riding. But I don't think he has the bulk of the fans. He don't have the diehard, the old boys, the old Hannah lovers that look at Cooper Webb and go, "That's my Bob Hannah type guy," or even the Eli fans. I think the Eli fans would pull for Webb because they would rather have an Eli type win it.
Good point.
I was surprised that Chase didn't have a lot of want in there, but then again, he has kind of created this pathway for him where he is not the Jet likable, the AP likable. Mm-hmm. He's more of your Tomac or your Webb. He's kind of that brand of an athlete, but he's also newer to the role. And you know what I mean? So to me, I don't see him having like a super passionate fan base where I think a lot of the Webb pick was Tomac fans, Anderson fans, AP fans, like that your diehard core guys that don't want the Phenom to come in and win it and don't really relate to Chase yet because they've had Eli and Coop to relate to. You know what I mean? So that's where I think that vote came from was the diehard old school boys that they want to see the old school boy win it, and that's Cooper. He's old school.
So you could have worded it like this: who do you want to win the championship, Jet or someone else? And it would have been.
It would have been 70. It would have been 80. 75, 80%.
Wow.
Someone else.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, dude, think about this. Anaheim won. I watched this happen and my jaw dropped in the very first heat race of the year, which is crazy now looking back because look who's tied in points. But Webb was beating Jet in the heat race. Jet was all over him and Jet fell. When Jet fell, everybody in my area cheered. Now think about that.
Wow.
The rookie in his first heat race is getting cheered that he fell because they know that then Cooper Webb, the two-time champ, who isn't even the most liked guy, was going to win. How the hell does that happen?
So
how are they pulling for Webb so much that they're going to cheer for Jet to fall in his first heat race? So that's because they know what's coming.
So the temperature's been the same. The
inevitable.
Yeah, the temperature's been the same all year. It's almost like he's been, he's the next coming, but he's going to have to earn it. We want him to have to earn it. Okay, gotcha.
We do, and he's having to, man. He's in a fight, dude, with the wrong guy. Dude, Webb. I mean, think about it. If it was Kenny or Chase or Jason, I feel pretty confident. I think Eli would scare me if I'm Jet, but if I'm them right now, I'm looking at Webb and I'm like, man, that's not the guy I wanted. That's not the one I wanted here. Go
on your latest show? You're all in on Webb. You said outright that he checks your boxes and he's winning this.
Yeah. You know what the crazy part is I have a brain and a heart, and they battle. They battle, man, and they battle hard. And on this one, dude, my brain is telling me Webb, and my heart is telling me Jet, but I'm going with the brain. And it's because I do think that we're in the part of the year where things are going to be weirder. The intensity, it makes the whole thing feel different. And I feel like Webb is just foaming at the mouth in those environments. He loves that. He wants, this is the way he would want it. This is exactly how he would want it, where I don't think Jet would want it this way. And Jet's about to deal with pressure from someone that he's never felt it from before. So to me, I think the environment and just the weirdness that's coming for 4 weeks lends itself to Cooper Webb. But then my heart is kind of like, Daniel, come on, man, don't be silly here. If Jet gets a good start, he's just going to smoke these dudes every week, and he could win the next 4 very easily and remind us. It could happen.
12-point win, yeah.
And so honestly, I feel like I kind of want Cooper to get this over Jet for sure, because Jet's going to get so many, and I do think it would be better for the sport if he got held off for one more year. I do think that. But at the same time, I pull for Chase too, because I really like Chase, and he's KTM and I'm KTM, and I would love to see him get that victory. And I just think that he might be a little too far out. He has to be too dominant on the way out, and I haven't seen dominance from him. So I think it's Webb and Jet. That's where I really think it is, and it's heart versus mind for me. And my brain says Webb, my heart says Jet, but I'll go with the brain on this one.
And Webb with the morning wood and the jacket off comments. I mean, he's right in the wheelhouse of the fans right now. I mean, even if you weren't a Webb fan, you're like, oh man, that was fucking cool.
He's horny, dude. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, that's obvious, right? I mean, his
Randy.
wife's pregnant, later stages of the pregnancy. Every time he's on the microphone, he's talking about wiener stuff. Dude, the guy is pent up, and it's obvious. And that's probably why he's winning. I mean, honestly, if I'm him, I ride it out. I mean, it's working. So to me, there's no other explanation why I'd be dropping morning wood and jack-off comments. You wouldn't do that unless, dude, it's on your mind. So I think our dude's backed up a bit, and if he's smart, he keeps it that way through Salt Lake.
So blue balls on the blue bike, that's what you're running with.
It's got to be. I mean, why else would he be doing that? Why else would he be talking about stuff like that?
Hey, but here's the thing. His Cheshire Cat grin. I mean, Cooper Webb is not Jet. He's not Hayden. He's never been that guy. He's always been, just like you said, just the street fighter that needs PR. And he's finally, it's almost like RC at the end of his career. Remember when he was a complete dick and he admitted it all the way through his career? He was kind of like that. But then towards the end, he found out a way to work the media, work the fans, work the charisma side of things. And Webb, it's so sweet to see him there because he's always been a great dude, but I don't think fans got to see that for the majority of his career.
No, and here the cool part about Webb, and you know this because you know him, but he is the saltiest, shit talking. I mean, he is the mouthiest of the mouth. He is so like gnarly that way, and it's funny because when he does get on the microphone, you can I feel his tension, right? He's very tense and he's competitive, but he also at the same time, I know he's religious and he thanks the Lord, and he comes across as this good Southern boy who likes to fight, but in reality, there's a way spicier side to him that's in private, and everyone that knows him privately knows that.
Yeah.
So whenever he drops this stuff, it's like, oh my God, but it's like, wow, he's just kind of saying now who he is. I mean, he's just saying it on the mic. That's who he is.
Yeah.
So I like it. I laugh at it, but to me, I'm seeing the pattern, and it's like all these little things he's saying are all related to one certain topic. So I'm just curious of why that happens to be on the mind there, Coop.
Hey, Verb.
I think I know. I think I'm right.
Verb, I love it, by the way. Blue balls on a blue black. That's a t-shirt. That's a Blue Crew t-shirt right there. Hey, Verb did an article with, comparing Jet and Deegan's numbers and kind of, showing his dominance in the 250 class and his winning coming up through. I had DeCoster on a couple weeks ago, and I said, hey, would you sell your soul to sign Hayden Deegan to, coming on? And he's like, yeah, let's just wait and see how this plays out. Like, he wasn't like all in, like he was, the next coming. And you just mentioned in your latest show that, Deegan needs to win this week and win the championship to prove he's elite. And I want to get your comments on that, because I do believe that's the same thing, because whether it's the competition, look at Levi. I mean, I just, I wasn't sleeping on Levi Kitchen, but this year to me, he seems like he's just infinitely better than he was the last 3 years. So there's a lot of talent in this East-West shootout that Deegan's going to have to go through. So, talk about that, why you think he has to win this week and this year to be elite.
Well, if you look at 250 Supercross history, you'll see some patterns. And this is just the reality of it. So I'm just going to have to say it, but you'll see the Davalos guys in there. And right now you've got, RJ and Jordan Smith. Mm-hmm. Cameron McAdoo now is getting up there in years. Shane McElrath, Joey Savacci. There were these guys that were in the 250 class that were in there for a long time. And they've had long, good 250 careers. And then their 450 careers are kind of average, right? It's right in the middle. Like Shane right now is really having a bounce back. So that's really good to see. But there's that pattern. When you look at the guys who go through the 250 class and treat it like it's just a quick step and move on, it's a very identifiable pattern. And it's that they win on year two. These kids come in, they're freaky good and aggressive and aggro and wild. They screw up around year one a little bit, but you see glimpses, and then in year two they win. That's Ricky Carmichael. That's James Stewart. That's Ryan Villapoto. That's Eli Tomac and Chase Sexton and Cooper Webb. Go look back. They all won their second year in the 250 class because they were elite. And we could see it back then. You're like, oh, this is a 450 forever guy. This is a long factory 450 main event winning championship contender 250 guy who's just here for a glimpse. Justin Barsha too, year two. That's all of those guys. So when I see Deegan and I see what he did in his rookie year, and I buy in, I'm a buy-in. I'm a big believer that he is elite. He's going to be a 12-year, 15-year, 450. I believe in him to the end. To me, I think he needs to prove it right now that he is. It doesn't mean he has to win this one. It doesn't mean if he comes up a little short, he can't win next year, because Jet won in year three. Roxon won in year three. McGrath won in year three. So you can win in year three. But if he wants to prove that he truly is elite, then he should be able to come from 13 down with these two showdowns, with Cameron McAdoo, a 250 lifer, a good one, a really good one, and Tom Vial, a world champion pedigree guy who is still learning Supercross. If he is truly one of the future elites, he should be able to come down from 13 and beat these guys. I think he should. If he doesn't, then unfortunately you fall into the pattern of McGrath and Roxon and Jet. Boo-hoo-hoo. So it's still a good backup plan for year three. Yeah. But I just want to see him force his will and do what I believe they think is capable, which is walking through the 250 class in a blitz. Yeah. So I just want to see it, and I want to put the pressure on him to show it, because I believe it. I'm a believer, and I believe he should win this title. All right, so I wanted to put the pressure on him to do it.
All right, so Levi's...
I did what I did this week.
And I love that. I agree with it 100%. And Levi's coming in winning, 4 out of the last 5 races, 3 out of the last 4, something like that. Deegan obviously won last week, and he's rebounded. Levi's cleaner. I mean, he's definitely cleaner. Hayden's got raw speed and aggression. Those two get away in Nashville clean on a dry track. Who do you have?
I think purely one-on-one, Kitchen's better right now.
Okay.
But Kitchen has a big test coming too, because he has mastered his coast. I do think he's the best over there by far. I mean, look what he's done in the last few. But this is different. Like, now you're the favorite. Mm-hmm. That's a new feeling. You're going up against another coast as the favorite. That's a new feeling. You're going up against Hayden Deegan, who is a Tasmanian devil of a racer. Yeah. I mean, we all know that just by watching him. And there's another layer to this thing, which, I mean, Levi Kitchen left the shiniest team in the pits, the team with all the number one plates on the wall, the winning program that wasn't good enough for him. And he left there and is succeeding elsewhere. So if you're Hayden Deegan, it's like, this is a guy that was too good for your guys' program that you're on. probably had a little bit to do with even your existence being there. I mean, I have to imagine that the Deegan's presence makes things, there's more cameras, there's more energy around it. I mean, that's not probably the easiest to deal with for some of his teammates. So now you have Kitchen, who's went on his own way, and now he's the man, and he's coming in my opinion, as the favorite. Dude, Deegan's not the type to be okay with that. I just don't think he's wired that way. So that's why there's so many layers to just Nashville. Like, Deegan's got to go handle McAdoo and Vial, but I think there's more to it. I don't think he's wired to like, well, let me just go beat my guy. I just don't think that exists with him. And it happens to be Levi Kitchen, the perfect, somewhat quiet villain, I guess you would say, or quiet rival to the Deegans, and probably one of your bigger threats outdoor. Like, he's sitting there this weekend, and he's going to play a role in your championship. So to me, there's too much good layering up for this weekend, man. It's amazing, 450 and 250, but I don't think there's going to be one single weak moment of the Nashville Supercross. It's set up to be one of the best of the year.
And when you look at like Vial, I mean, to me, obviously Deegan came in hurt this year, and I think that people would expect him to win more races than he has this year. Vial being one of those great stories, and coming in this year, I mean, he could win this whole freaking thing. Who knows? I mean, it's close enough now where Deegan's far enough back. Vial's 4 out. I mean, Cameron McAdoo is not the most consistent rider in the world. I mean, it could come down literally to Vial and Deegan and the last round, Salt Lake City.
Oh, it could, and that's why this one's exciting too, because Deegan's 13 down. He has to beat Vial and McAdoo and probably get a little help, right? Like he has to beat them. If they beat him or he implodes this weekend, it's over mathematically. I mean, he's going to be 20 down with 2 to go. His math is going to be terrible. So his pressure cooker is this weekend. Vial's pressure cooker is to outsmart McAdoo and Deegan. And man, I think you'll back me up on this. These French dudes, they come over here and they're very smart in Supercross. They know how to play the Supercross game. I think it's just the way they break things down. For me, I'm spending a lot of time with Marv right now. He's part of KTM's program in general, but he works with me on our amateur elite kids, and he is so crafty and smart, and the things that he sees, they're different. And I look at Vial coming into these showdowns, and it's not purely just about how fast you are and how gnarly. It's like, how good of a start can you get in the main? How crafty can you be in certain moments? Like, I think I trust him to get starts and make good decisions over the other two, but he might be a bit behind them in speed, aggression, and some hard pack whoops that are coming that I think are going to be harder for him. But you're right. If he wins this thing, it'll be because of decision making and being technical and smart. So, and dude, these French guys, they're always so smart at Supercross.
All right,
always are.
So you're DeCosta right now. You're a 450 team manager guy who's going to be hiring 250 guys coming out. You only get one pick. Who are you picking coming out of 250s to sign on a 450 first year?
Levi Kitchen.
Okay,
that's a done deal for me. It's a done deal for so many reasons. Size wise, like he's perfect for a 450. He's put on a bunch of weight this year. Like you could see him in some of his videos and the YouTube stuff. Like he's bulked up, so the muscles there, because he was always a really scrawny kind of skinny kid.
Wired,
So now physically it's there, and I just love the way they've done it, man. Like he didn't turn Supercross pro till he was like 21 years old. He's 23 right now. He's just getting warmed up, but he's smarter, more mature. He really hasn't been beat up that much. And he's laying into that perfect 250 prime right now. And he would be one that I think in 2026 could go 450 and would have a lot in the tank. I think you're going to get a long chapter of him because he's not worn out. And the amateur world didn't chew him up. The early years of 250 Supercross racing didn't chew him up. And he's 23, but probably the energy of an 18-year-old. And to me, I'm looking at just all the traits are there, the timing's there, and I'd go Levi Kitchen, and I'd start making the move right now, today, for 2026. That's what I would do.
As an amateur team guy right now, you're looking at all this and families. We've watched Ricky Carmichael, coming up with Jeannie and Big Rick, and then Big James with him. Is the Deegan program, with what he's done as a kid now to a professional, is this circus sustainable in the 450s with Brian being such a big part and his mom being such a big? Are they going to have to take a step back at some point and let him be his own person and not circus being an operative word because it's self they want this, but is that something that can sustain itself in the 450s?
Yes. I believe so, for two reasons. Number one, he's had it his whole life. Like, this isn't nothing new. To be honest with you, if all that went away, that would be new for him. And so he's used to the camera, the editing, the fans, the positive, the negative. He's used to all this, man. I mean, it's not like he went through amateurs like cruising like everyone loved him, dude. He has been the center of positive and negative attention his entire life on screen. So he is not going to be fazed by this just because he changes to forbidden. I don't believe.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, if you look, some of these father-son things, man, I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm living in it right now because I got amateur kids, so I'm dealing with parents and dads and kind of navigating this with a huge roster. But if you look at the Eli Tomac family model, I think the Sextons are this way, the Lawrences are this way, the Deegans are now this way. There are some father-sons that just work. It just works.
Okay.
And I don't think that they would be good apart. Now, maybe I'm not there. Maybe I'm not behind closed doors. Maybe it's not that good. But to me, they have made it work all the way till now, and I don't see any cracks in their relationship or in their program to slow it down.
And he's only 18. It's not like he's 24.
And to be honest with you, they've proven to me that they can operate more like a speedboat than a Titanic. I mean, the fans were kind of chewing him up. His attitude was bad. He was having these temper tantrums all over the place. Mm-hmm. The next thing you know, he goes and wins a Triple Crown race. He's on the podium and he's owning making mistakes. And to me, that's like they immediately recognized a problem and they're trying to fix it and get rid of it immediately. And to me, that's a smart family.
Okay.
So you could say a lot about that family, but I don't think they're stupid. I think they're well calculated and they're quick learners. So no, I think it's going to work all the way through and he's going to be a powerhouse all the way for the next 10 years. Easy to see for me.
All right. Buy, sell, trade as a team manager of these riders. Daxton Bennick.
Oh, heavy buy.
Okay. Good deal.
Heavy buy. I love Dax. I would do, man. I love Dax. So heavy buy.
Hammaker.
Oh, what were the other options?
Buy, sell, trade.
Oh, I hate this because purely off of talent and skill and personality, he's such a buy. But dude, I don't know what to do about the injuries. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say about that because the reality is he's hurt a lot. But God, I like him. Like he would be one right now. I would take a gamble on.
Okay.
If I was any other team right now, I would take the gamble. But
1 year deal.
1 year, 1 year deal, dude. And if you crush it, then we'll reward you to the moon. But dude, you got to put one together. So,
all right. Pierce Brown.
A light buy on Hammaker.
All right. Pierce Brown, buy, sell, trade.
Oh, that one's tough too.
He's your guy too. Is it your brand? I know.
Well, and the problem is, I really like him on the personal side. Just things I know about him, things that he has done for people in the past on a personal level. That is just very high character. So I love Pierce. Here's my issue with Pierce. I believe that this consistent Pierce you're seeing right now, finally, is the accumulation of having him lay off the edge a little bit. Like, hey, back it off 5 to 10%, and let's be solid. And the problem is at solid for him, he's a 4, 5, 6 quiet finisher. Mm-hmm. And if he goes for it, if he sends it to his max, which I think is as fast as anybody in a class period, he crashes. So if you're wanting someone to be solid and you want 4, 5, 6, and he's willing to buy into that, and that's whatever, then I think you would buy into that. But if you're looking for, I'd say, a champion and someone that's got to be sendy almost every night and keep it together, probably looking at a sell.
All right. This one, you and I, this is a personal one for us. I know this is an easy buy. Joe Shimoda, he's having a crazy, weird year, but this dude is a buy.
Dude, man, I don't know. I might have to kind of go in the sell to trade, to be honest. Okay. And here's my worry. Can I tell you my worry?
Of course.
My worry is that he is sitting in a spot right now where next year, he has to win. Like otherwise he's going to fall into the category of, hey, he's still sticking around. Mm-hmm. I mean, and honestly, based on his age, his skill, and his opportunity, and where he is and who he's around, there's no missing pieces. So to me, he has to win this year or next year. And this year, I mean, maybe this summer, but next year he's going to have to deal with Deegan.
Yeah.
He's going to have to deal with Kitchen again. He's going to have to deal with probably RJ, and Vial is going to be better. And I think Dax and Juju are going to be better. Like, to me, it's not getting any easier. And his window of being a win it and move up guy is shrinking.
That's
like that. And he's walking into the pipeline of he's going to be around for a while. And if that's the case, then I'm not a buy because I want someone to come in and win and move up.
Did that San Francisco? I mean, the mud races just demoralized him this year. It was weird.
Well, and I think round one was weird too. He had a crash and a bad heat race, and then a pretty good main from the back. But he just had a couple things start off wrong, and then he's kind of recovered good. I mean, he's a great rider.
Yeah,
I'm an all buy in on him as a racer. It just depends though. If you're, I'm nervous about him being a championship guy.
Okay,
that's all, because you got to put it all together. You have to be sendy and stable at the exact same time, and I haven't seen both of those together at the same time with him.
All right, last one, Thrasher.
Oh my God, dude. Why are you doing this to me?
The guy wins races and then he crashes his ass off.
This is Hammaker and Pierce. Okay, let me ask you this, and then this will make things easier for me.
Yeah.
Is this a buy-sell trade on being a champion? And am I chasing a championship here, or am I just chasing a good guy who could be there for me and be on the gate and have a shot?
You're a team manager picking riders for your team. Like if you have him, you're trading him. If you want him, you're buying or selling or trading. I mean, you're a team manager. This is a guy with his bike on your bike stand.
Okay, then pretty much trade on all the ones I said except for Dax. Buy on Dax, trade on the rest.
See, and that's honest, because here's the thing, and that's going back to your show, is that you can't be, the talk show host that just tells every guest that they like their movie if the movie sucked. I mean, you basically have paper now. You have results, and there are trends, and I think your Shimoda one was probably the most honest, because you and I both love Joe. We know we've got this potential, but the reality is, look what he's in. He's in a meat grinder for championships, and he in the competition with this is the guy that's going to haunt him for at least 2 more years, possibly. Yeah. So that's honest. I mean, and I love that.
Well, he missed a little window. I don't think he's missed the whole window, but he's missed a little window, which is the Lawrences are gone now. Like, someone has to fill that spot.
Yeah.
That they're gone now, and you were brought in to be that guy. You went to their same bike, the same program. I mean, everything is very identical, and he hasn't. And instead, the void has been filled by Levi Kitchen, and of course the East is all over the place, but Vial and Deegan are showing like they're about to move into that fill spot too. Like they're about to be, I'm championship guy. And for Joe, this is another year where he's not. He's not in this thing at all. And that's a tough, because he was supposed to be the guy to fill in and be the next Lawrence, like right behind them, be the guy. And now other guys have filled that spot. Kitchen and Deegan and Vial, and of course, you got McAdoo and RJ still hanging around, being frustrating for everybody. So Joe's walked into a tough spot. And to me, it's like this summer and next year is the window. And after that, I'm going to look at him as a 250 forever kind of guy.
All right.
That's the window I'm giving it left.
All right. I lied. One more, Faulkner.
Oh, heavy buy. I'm sorry if people are probably throwing their phone or screaming right now, but that kid has been dealt so much weirdness and badness, and I don't feel like all of it's him. I think some of it's definitely him, but he's lights out, dude. I'm telling you, if he is healthy and on the motorcycle, he is a favorite to win that night.
Love it.
And I can't give up on that. I'm sorry, but I can't. I don't know what's going to happen with him. Apparently, he's got his eyes fixed, and they're all screwed or something. I forget. He said something like they're all screwed or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with him. I believe him. He is a bigger nightmare than anyone in that class next year outside of Kitchen and Deegan to me. And if he's healthy and he wants to race, I'd throw everything at him. His ceiling is that high to me. So
dude,
that's just me, and I've been a believer forever.
Me too.
And I haven't lost. I mean, he showed up and won this year, the opening round, and round 2 he was probably going to win that one too. And
by 5 seconds. Yeah.
I haven't lost faith in him, even through all the injuries and all the problems. I still believe in him.
I don't know where time goes while we're talking. We're flying through this. I love all that stuff. We got the Dunlop 5 questions, and we'll let you get going. But that was an awesome hour that went by. Dunlop, make sure you check him out at Ride Dunlop for all their specials and product information. All right. Question number 1: do you wear Crocs, Daniel Blair?
Do not. Never have. My son has a pair. We made fun of him the other night, and now I think they're in the garbage can. I haven't seen them in a while, but not me, no.
You peer pressure piece of shit. You made your son, they're the most comfortable, easygoing shoe in the world, and you just, and that's it.
Well, it was a combination of a few things in this conversation. He is very serious about certain things and very loose about others.
Yeah.
And there's certain parts of his appearance that like really mattered to him, but the Crocs were like, dude, you care all about this, but then you're going to wear Crocs.
Oh.
And
okay.
And so, yeah, it was just, his jetting is a little off right now in his look.
All right, so our scorecard is RJ Hampshire is the only one who's ever been on the show who wears Crocs. Just keeping score at home. All right, when did you get your first tattoo?
Oh man, oh gosh, would have been 2000.
How old were you?
6-ish or 5? Oh, mid-20s.
Okay.
It was the band stuff. Like, oh man, it's embarrassing, but I was drunk and I ended up getting my first tattoo by a buddy of mine. It eventually got like drawn over and fixed, and it's blended into the whole sleeve now, and you would never know. But oh man, I rocked this tattoo for a while. That was just done by my buddy.
What was it?
It was bad. It was a cross with a Bible verse, and it looked like I drew it on with the Crayola.
Like a prison tattoo? Just straight up prison tattoo? Yeah,
definitely. It just wasn't good. It's beautiful now. Oh my God. It's so nice now. And it blends into the whole thing. But yeah, that was my first one, mid-20s.
Are you done? Are you done with tattoos?
I mean, yeah, unless I find out I care about something new or different I have nothing I want on me at the moment.
Okay.
I'm happy. So, right. But yeah, I will for sure something, but just nothing's on the brain.
Did you have starting line rituals? Like watching Chiz dance was hilarious to me. Did you have anything on the line?
What was that?
I don't know.
Was that dancing?
Either that or you had a big O on the start line. I don't know. I think
something was going on, dude. That was interesting.
But did you have one? Do you have any starting line rituals other than starting blocks?
I had a psycho paranoia of my gas being turned off on my bike back in the early days.
Yeah, petcock, yeah.
So I would reach down and check my gas 30 times before the gate dropped. And then I would also grab my goggles and pull them out of my helmet and shake little pebbles of dirt out.
Yeah.
And put them back in. And I would do that 20 times probably in the last 5 minutes. So that was over and over and over and over. But it was those two things.
Compulsive obsessive. So that was a routine. I mean, you had to do that. That was obsessive compulsive. All the way to the very end. And I still, even to now, today, if I lined up, I would be panicking, reaching under the bike to make sure the gas is on and getting pebbles out of my goggles. Okay. Is being on the starting line like a bathroom urinal for dudes? Like you just don't talk to people next to you? Is that like an unwritten rule down there?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Actually, it is. I mean, I mean, probably in practice, you might talk to somebody, or maybe you end up next to your buddy in a race here and there. You're like, what up? But for the most part, I'd say 95% of the time, you just don't speak to anybody you're by, because your whole race, your whole outcome is going to be decided probably in the first 10 seconds, and they're the ones that are going to either ruin it or you're going to ruin theirs. So yeah, you kind of don't talk on the gate.
Okay. Single over table over single. What's it called?
Single over table, table over single. That's what I call it.
Okay. You don't call it a quad.
Are you saying like triple or quad or something?
Yeah. The single over table.
I call it a single over table or a table over single, but I consider those to be triples.
Okay. And so where did this go sideways in the sport? Like, that's what I understand. Like is it the mounds of dirt? Is it the takeoff range? I mean, why is it so concise? Like the fans are like back and forth.
Okay. Here's how I view it. And I'm not even saying I'm right. This is just the way I view it. There's a single, there's a tabletop, and there's a single. Okay. That's your jump. And I would call that a quad. If someone jumped the whole thing, it's a quad.
Sure.
Because a single would be to roll over just the single.
Mm-hmm.
A double would be to double up onto the top. A triple, to me, like to triple the obstacle, would be to triple over the top. And the quad would be to get over the single.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it. I look at jumping on the tabletop like a double, and jumping over the tabletop like a triple, and then jumping the last single a quad. That's just how I view it. And I'm not even saying I'm right, because others are different. Others are like, it's 3 mounds, so it's a triple. That's fine.
You know what DeCoster said? What? He said, if you jump it, you call it whatever you want. I mean, that's to me, that's the bottom line. You're a former racer. I mean, fans or people like myself who would never jump anything close to that, I don't get a say. And
probably don't care either. Most probably don't care. They're like, what are you arguing about? But no, for me, it's a quad, and I'm open to the idea that it's my reasoning could be wrong. That's fine.
I agree.
It's what I think.
All right. Question number 4, is Vince Freeze a witch?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is a movie with Will Smith? They're all like a suicide. Is it Suicide Gang or Suicide? What?
I'm not sure.
What was it with the Joker? They were all in that, and they put together this like superhero group of villains.
Oh, Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Suicide Squad, yeah. And they had to go up against that witch, right? That just had all the weird magic voodoo power. That is 100% Vince.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he takes people out now just by being there, just by being around it. He steals points from just sitting on the side of the track. I mean, the guy, it's full voodoo. There's no other explanation.
Dude, her name in that thing is called the Enchantress. So that's Vince's the Enchantress.
That's right. That's him, dude. I mean, think about it. Think about what he did to Jet Lawrence in St. Louis. He stole points just by existing.
But yeah. But
he just existed down there. He just sat there in a weird spot.
The Red Cross
sat
thing.
there, stole points.
Yeah, the Red Cross thing is...
Yeah, and then here's Jet just minding his own business, and Vince puts a spell on Bam Bam, who whiskey throttles wide open into the side of Jet. Like, how do you pull that shit off without some sort of voodoo magic? There's no other explanation.
So he has dolls in his semi putting pins in them before the race. There's no doubt, right? I mean, of other riders.
Yeah, totally.
That is amazing.
Bringing absolute shame to the number 125, by the way. Just destruction to my brand, dude. And
your brother's name. Let's not forget the most important thing. I mean, he has ruined
Destroying the family so bad, dude. And I even told him, I called him out this at Anaheim in the lobby of the hotel. I'm like, 125, bro? Really?
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
He said, Tony made me do it. He blamed Tony Alessi for it. And I could see that. Tony's smart, so I could see that. But Vince totally blamed Tony. Did not take the responsibility himself.
Oh my God, you got to own that. You need to bring that up. That is fun. That in and of itself is a funny thing. All right, final question. DMXS, Daniel Blair, here we go. Would you have picked your bike up and finished the race like McAdoo after his gear malfunctioned and his junk hung out for an entire Supercross main?
Nope.
Dude!
No way. I mean, dude, come on, man. Like, do we need to go through my career and relive like how hard and tough I was? Like, come on, man. That was not what I was known for, dude. I wasn't that gritty guy who was going to ride with his wiener out. That's not my MO. So, no, what I would have done is once I looked down and realized it, I would have immediately laid down on my stomach and called for help. And I would have been waving people over. They would have came to me and I would have said, no, go back. Go get my jacket. Go get something to tie around my waist. But I'm laying here until someone brings me a towel, a blanket, or a sweatshirt. And they would have had to red flag the race. And they'd have been, what's wrong with this guy? And it would have been like, well, he's just laying on his stomach, down on the ground.
So you would have full on laid on your stomach. And the best part is you said you were not known as the guy that would have rode around with his wiener out.
No, that's just not my MO. Like, when people think of me someday, I don't want them to think of, Daniel was that guy. That's for Cameron. I would have never done that. I mean, and I give him so much credit. And without that move, he's not your points leader. Let's be honest. He's not your points leader without it. But I just didn't have those traits, man. I wasn't strong enough for moments like that.
Okay, let me put you. You're not Daniel Blair that went through the LCQ to get to the main. You're Cameron McAdoo in the points league. Would you have conjured up enough courage to have your little micro penis flashing through the main to have the points lead with 3 races to go? I mean, can you conjure up in your mind at all thinking that you would have done that if you're in his position?
If my Arena Cross Lights regional championship came down to the final main event and all I had to do was get second to last and beat one person, and that happened to me, the title goes to Jake Locks.
I cannot believe you are going to die on this hill. I love it. I mean, hey, I
didn't have that type of grit, dude. It wasn't worth it to me.
but when I was in a group text with Wygant and Jeremy and stuff, and I had no idea. I'm watching the broadcast. I'm not at the race. I'm watching the broadcast. So I had no idea that there were X-rated camera shots. So Jeremy or Weege, one of it sent the slow motion of what happened. And I'm like, this man is a cult hero because who else in their right mind would have gotten up, looked down and said, I'm going to push the start button?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's not the only. I mean, I hate to disrespect the entire field and say no one else is man enough. But I know for sure Cameron McAdoo would do that. And if you asked ahead of time if this was to happen, would McAdoo? I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a guy who flipped in Atlanta in the most dramatic crash I've ever seen in my life and then podiumed 20 minutes later. You know what I mean? Like, that's Cameron McAdoo. So, yeah, he to me, he's probably the only guy that can pull the whole thing off, and you're like, yeah, I can see it. That's him. That's who would do it.
But this will be
but that's why he has a points lead.
And it made national news. We finally got some national news. I think it made TMZ too.
And that sucks, honestly. As a sport, if that's what it takes, like if that's where we're at, where we have to rely on someone to race with his wiener hanging out for us to get mainstream, we need to do better, because that's a sad way to get it.
Hey, I had to stop texting Lucas during the free agency with the Cowboys because it was pissing him off, all the stuff that Dallas was doing. But there is a small amount of me that just enjoys when you and Lucas just rant over the Cowboys.
Crazy, dude. Lucas and I have talked about it. They have brought us nothing but misery. We're both like desperate to be in pain.
But here's the thing: I'd rather go 0-16 than to go and get good draft picks than to get as close as they have, and then just keep cutting your hand off. Like every year, it's the same. They give you so much hope.
12-5, I think it was like 3 years in a row or something like that.
And they're about to pay Dak. He's going to get paid. I mean, there's unless they secretly draft a quarterback this draft, and
you know how to put a man in a bad mood on the way out of an interview, dude. Jeez Louise, bringing up the Cowboys.
Hey, did you watch any women's basketball with Caitlin Clark?
A little bit. I mean, I didn't get into it, but I definitely ran that last little bit, just kind of like. Follow along at the very end, and God, what a phenom!
It's kind of cool because Jeremy sent me. He's a big TV like audience numbers, and he sent me some of the stuff that the numbers that they were crushing, and you can't help just respect just that. I mean, because I've never in my entire life watched 30 seconds of women's basketball, pro or college, and I watched those last 3 games because I was in. I mean, I love the people story, and that was a people story.
I like people stories, and I like engaging matchups. So even for me, I'm with you. I would not watch a WNBA game or a women's college basketball game for any other reason unless there was a storyline that was super intriguing, or if there was some kind of a record on the line, head coach, like some kind of. I need something to draw me in more than just the game itself. And I love basketball, but I just those stories draw, and that's where I think that we as a sport, and kind of to wrap this back to us. Is we got to push these characters, man. Like Cameron McAdoo's story. Like, God, if he wins this championship, we as a sport have to push his story onto the masses. Like, this is an amateur nobody who literally has been fill-in guy multiple times. If he wins this thing, like, it's our responsibility as a sport. to push him into the mainstream, so the whole world can say, "Look what we have here. We have crazy good stories here." And I think that it comes from us collectively understanding opportunities and pushing a guy like that when we have a special moment. Cooper Webb, too. If Cooper Webb wins this thing, let's be honest, man. This is 3-time champ. That's more than Eli. That's more than James.
That's awesome.
More than Chad.
Yep.
Like, we're talking Cooper Webb, 3-time champ. And we need, as a sport, to push him into the mainstream so they know, like, we have the gnarliest athletes ever. Here's one right here named Cooper Webb. And people will catch on. Even if they catch on only for a minute, worth it. It's a planted seed for the future. You just got to get these people to recognize what we're doing without it being because a guy's got his wiener out the whole race. You know what I mean? We need to go mainstream over better reasons.
Preach, brother.
Good stories. Good stories. You know,
as a human being, I love you. As a journalist, I love you. As back as a writer, not so much, but everything else you've done since then, I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. Welcome to the dark side on the journalistic side of this stuff, and just keep swinging. You told who'd you tell to keep swinging for the fences? You told somebody in your thing to swing for the fences. You have to, and that's what you do. Just keep swinging. You're doing these great videos. We love it, man. Thanks for catching up on DMXS for the last 20 effing years, man. We love it.
Love it. Anytime for you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, talk to you soon, Dan. Thanks, Martin.
Okay,
bye, Martin. All right, there we go. Daniel Martin Blair. Man, just one of those guys. You just get smiles all the way through. We definitely appreciate his time. And of course, I'm not even going to tell you where to go to find his stuff because you guys have already, if you're into the sport, you're already checking it out. But his, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channel, The Main Event, his podcast, he's just slaying it as always. So we definitely appreciate Daniel and all that he's done and all he's doing in the sport. So thank you for that. Our sponsors again, Racer X MX Sports. We had such fun at Ricky Carmichael Super Chamber Cross in Daytona again. W Wheels, OGO Con concept two rowers making Dunlop. Check them out at Ride Dunlop. So we got Nashville East-West Shootout this week, and I've got some texts into some top 450 guys. This week did not work out for one of them with a flight delay, so we'll try to catch up with them as well. So we are back when we're back. DMXS. I'm going to go ahead and just say this for one more second until I get my bumper ready. DMXS, we're out.
Yes.
The Dead Motocrosser Society.
You listen to us because we are motorcycle guys. You might even call us gurus. We are awesome.
I've been called a lot worse than that, Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, we're the guys. We know everything. I know everything about you. I know everything about movies. I know everything about the space shuttle launches and the crashes. Everything.
And because you turn to us for motorcycle knowledge, we only tell you about what's the best, Kevin, because our spotless reputation that we've built for 16 years is on the line. That's why.
Yeah, and I would not risk my crappy reputation on just anybody. That's why we are telling you about Dunlop tires. It's what we have on our bikes. I have a fleet of motorcycles, and they all have fresh, crispy Dunlops on them. If the pros have them, you know us amateurs are going to have them. They're good enough for them. They got to think they're good enough for us dorks.
Too good for Dunlops, you're a tire snob. We want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, good luck with that. But not just the pros use them. Everyday riders agree, and they have the testing to back it up. You can't beat the quality of Dunlop motorcycle tires.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, Kevin. Whether you're on the dirt, the road, or the track, you can depend on Dunlop. To learn more about their products, visit DunlopMotorcycleTires.com or your local pro dealer. The amateur guys are working their way up. Go to a Dunlop pro dealer. Check them out. We love them. You will too.
Get ready, America, because WUSA is your #1 source for quality wheel sets in America. WUSA offers all the top brands that you and the world's best racers know and trust, like Reed, Dungy, Millsaps, Tickle, Sealy, Short, and more. All rely and trust WUSA, because all our wheels are built right in our shop in Orange, California. And if you want it custom made for your bike, like the world's best freestyle riders, Renner, Deegan, Adams, Madison, Mason, Sherwood, and others, you can choose different spoke and nipple colors for a completely custom look that'll dazzle you. Off-road riding, WUSA can build you wheels for the absolute toughest of conditions. And W also offers DID and Excel rims, along with OEM replacement spoke and nipple kits for your stock hubs. Need brakes? W offers the industry's best oversized and standard brake kits from Galfer and Brembo. Just see your local dealer or visit us at WUSA.com. Hey, you can also download the most current W catalog from the iTunes App Store. WUSA, DUBYA USA. It doesn't get any better than us.